Hi, welcome to Think Human. I'm Chris, and in this video I want to talk about energy fields and frequencies and vibrations. So it's a funny topic since no single person who I've talked about this with could give me a solid answer or any kind of definition of what does it mean to say that we have an energy field, or what does it mean to have a high vibration or low vibration, anything outside of just simple basic psychology. So when I ask people of what do they mean by this kind of energy thing, I'm assuming that they're not really talking about the electromagnetic spectrum, which goes from all the way to really small and compressed and high energy wavelengths to really long and stretched out and low energy wavelengths. But this is the major form of energy that we know, and I so often caught people also saying that the electromagnetic energy, and then I'm like, okay, electromagnetic energy, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean infrared radiation? Do you mean X-rays? Do you mean gamma rays? So no, that's not like that. Well, the thing is that we know the whole electromagnetic spectrum. We know what it's composed of. We know every single part of it. We know what it does. If there is a limit to how high energy it can be, it can't really be more higher energy than gamma rays, and it can't be, if you really get low energy and stretched out beyond radio waves, then they kind of just fall apart. So we know what the whole field is made of, so you can't say that somewhere there is still some extra kind of special EM radiation that like does some magical things, because we know it. So people just love to throw these words out there like, yeah, a specific part of the electromagnetic wave, this is the energy that I'm working with. Well, what do you mean? Do you mean light? Do you mean visible light that you see with your eyes? Yes, I'm also working with electromagnetic waves. Wow. Another idea that I would bring attention to is that if you really had some kind of people who would be able to control this kind of energy, we have been here as human beings for around like 100,000 years. During this time, surely the people who had some advantage in sensing fields and doing healing with energies or something like that, surely those people would now be in sort of higher ranks of some kind of honored witch doctors or healers, but we don't see that. We don't see that. We're all pretty much more or less the same. Nobody has special abilities. How come we have not discovered it? If it truly was that these things existed, like today you can argue, yes, people are more skeptical, so people don't want to admit that there is some people with these energies. Fine, but why wasn't it anywhere in the history books? Why wasn't it 2,000 years ago that when people didn't have critical thinking, that they had these special people in their towns, whatever, who used these healing energies? No, we see nothing like that. So these kind of healers, these people working with these kind of energies or whatever it is, it's no better than placebo or at best case hypnotism. It's just people's own willpower, and it's so easy for people to get misled and to delude themselves into thinking that the simple psychology that they're doing and suggestion is actually something more, something magical or whatever it might be. I think people also gravitate towards these ideas because they're kind of magical and they give something more to the experience, and people wonder, well, if this is possible, what else is possible? But I would say that most people believe in this kind of thing because they want to believe in it, because it makes them feel happier in some kind of way. It's the same thing that people want to believe in UFOs, because it's an exciting thing to believe in, and that makes them feel better. But as I've said in some of my previous videos, we should not pick and choose the reality that we live in. So it makes absolutely no sense, and I have never heard anyone make any kind of valid claim about energies. There have been many studies trying to look at actually these things. One famous study, or not so famous study, was when they took these people with water dowsing rods, and they brought them into a large warehouse, and they had few dozen of these kind of barrels full of sand, and in half of them there were little vials of water in the sand, and they were all equally spaced out, and they asked these kind of psychics or whatever water sensing people to go there and to try to sense where the water is, because they had the power and energy. So what turned out when they brought the people there is that the results were exactly the same as you get by chance. It was 50-50, sometimes even worse than 50-50. And then, of course, people started making excuses. The energy of the room is bad. I can't feel the vibrations because of the floor is the bad height. People looking at this test, they are disturbing my mental energies. You know, all of this kind of stuff. And it's ridiculously absurd. And it is the kind of ultimate pseudoscience kind of thing that we have floating around in our society. And we should really exercise critical thought into understanding and really questioning these kind of things. Because if you really think about it, truly, when someone talks about some kind of energy, ask them, what do you mean? If it is some kind of energy that really does something in the world, then we can measure it. But we haven't measured any kind of energy outside of the forces we know that, you know, sort of comes from the mind or interacts with the mind and then does something outside the mind. So, you know, like, what is it? I would really like to know if there is any psychic out there that could explain to me what these vibrations or energies are. I would love to hear. Of course, we all know, you know, these woo people talk about, you know, there are people with high energies. No, what you're really saying is that there are people who are outgoing, friendly, and positive, and you just call it high energy. And people who are low energy are people who are negative and closed off and don't really want to talk to you. You know, it's whatever name you put to it, but it's the same thing. This is just, you know, what I started thinking about it, like, you know, what it actually means, and could we ever define it? It's so ridiculous that these things still get so much popularity, and I see new channels popping up who all talk about energies and how to get positive energy and stuff. Why can't you just talk about living a good life, doing good things for yourself, eating healthy, going out, spending time on your hobbies and interests and things you want to do? Why not talk about that? Why do you have to drag in some kind of magical stones and chanting and whatever things? Of course, at the end of the day, whatever floats someone's boat and what makes people happy, but that I really, really despise if people want to push this belief into others, especially in a time when we have so much information available and we can dismember and debunk all of these ideas really quickly if we just think for 10 seconds. So this is just my short rant on energies and what are they supposed to be. I hope it was interesting to think along in some kind of way. If you have any ideas, please leave them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and take care.